Hey everybody, this is Mickey G. In this edition, Rodney and I talk about how a lot of the old folks used to think we were in the Army and how we don't agree with that old saying about if you could go back in time, you wouldn't change a thing. Well, we hope you enjoy this version of Old Fools Talking Old School.
But you left out one part, bruh. Because they said, I wish I'd have stayed in the Army like you. Oh, I got so tired of it. I said, man, I wasn't in no damn Army.
Yeah. And it got to the point to where you just get tired of correcting people. It's almost like, yeah. You know, where'd you go? You go to Fort Dix? I'm like, no, I ain't go to Fort Dix. Nah, I wasn't in the Army. But he said, no, I was out in Texas. I went out in Texas. That's where I went for basic training. Of course, they say boot camp. Where'd you go to boot camp? Fort Dix? I'm like, no, I was actually out in Texas. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You get to the point.
I'm like, man, you're right. 'Cause after a while, you get tired of saying, man, I was in the Air Force. Damn. You know, man. So what? You in the Army? Where did you go to AIT? Wichita Falls. What base is in Wichita Falls? None that you know.
Yeah. I went through that same thing too, but like I say, that's because the norm was just that.
Yeah.
Most of them went to the Army, but well, yeah, that's just, as I say, that's life.
It is.
You just get to the point now that, as I tell people, knowing I got far fewer years ahead of me than I do have behind me, I just appreciate, the decisions that I made somewhat of and other people made for me along the way. But that's, like I say, that's just life. It just worked out okay, for me and my family. But you can't say that everybody should follow that same map. As I say, you used to say all the time, he had the same chances, the same opportunities I did. And I realized that no, I'm the only person that had that opportunity. There ain't nobody else ever will have the same opportunity and the same road map that I had to go through, but me, because I made those decisions and I was the one that was, doing good or bad or whatever it may be. But
yeah, brother, someone could have made the same decision and followed their own road map, because sitting pat down there doing nothing but cheerleading when you come home. Yeah, bruh. Oh, yeah, bruh, my ass. You could have done the same thing. Your path would have been different, maybe, but at least we would have been at the same. Yeah, hey, like I always used to tell my boys, I said, sometimes there's, you see I-40 out there? I said, this is when I was doing my college spiel when I don't think I want to go look at it. I said, well, there's 100 ways to get to I-40 out there. The bottom line is, and especially with religion, I said, as long as you get to I-40, that's the promised land. And it's the same thing with like what you were just saying. They could have made the same decision. They wouldn't necessarily taken the same path as you.
Right.
But if they'd have got in there and kept their nose clean and spent 20 years, I think they'd be a hell of a lot happier than what they are now.
I think so too.
Hell yeah.
I think so too. I say, you just never know where life's going to take you.
You don't.
You make those decisions. You just never know where it's going to take you. And I just look at wherever place people are at this point. That's where the Lord wants them to be.
Yeah.
Whether it's good, bad, and whatever it be, that's where the Lord wanted them to be at this point. So you just have to take it for that. You can't go back and change nothing. You can always look back and say, I wish I maybe had done this, or wish I may have not have done that. But you can't change nothing. All you can do is live for the day and try to shape what tomorrow might be.
Yep.
That's all you can do.
Be glad you're living.
Be glad you're living.
The whole point of the matter is, and this is my firm belief in just about anything as far as life is concerned. You know where you messed up. You know, I love it when I hear people say, I have no regrets. We all got some regrets.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if I could go back, I wouldn't change a thing. Yeah. Yeah. I feel the same way.
Yeah,
I don't,
man.
how can you even say, yes, you would change some
Hell
things?
yeah, I would change a few things, you know, but overall, no. But the bottom line, don't tell me. So you saying you done lived a perfect life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, don't come here with that. You know, because I mean, you know, we all could look back on some things that we might have done a little different. Yeah, I mean, we're dealing with what those decisions were, and thank God they were a lot of good decisions as opposed to bad. And like I said, I have regrets, but I don't regret where I am.
Yeah.
You know, there's some things that I could look back on, but hell, thank God for me, they're cosmetic. It ain't like it's no, you know, well, I wish I hadn't went to prison, you
No.
know, or something like that, or I wish I hadn't left babies all over the damn place. You know, I'm glad I ain't got that. I'm glad the Lord showed me early. You don't want to go that route, son. And I didn't. He blessed me, put me around a bunch of brothers that was older than me. They thought they was getting over for a while, and then that law came in about child support. They was all ducking and dodging. Like, oh, don't want to go that route. So, hey, man, we all got some regrets, but some are just more major than others.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know with me, not so much a regret actually, but I've always said I wish I could have gone to college on a college campus at some point in my life. You know, I just and looking back, like I say, probably was good I didn't, because like I say, all my my classmates from school all went down to state, and I think only two of them ended up staying. You know, I probably would have been one of that group that would have came back home. You know, got down there, you know, got to party or whatever, and then wouldn't have worked out. So I could probably been one of those too. But so I always said I wish I had that opportunity to go to college full time out of high school. And but then again, I look back and I'm like, well, I can't complain about that so much, because I got the same number of degrees I probably would have had if I went to college way back then. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, there's things like that I think back and I said sort of wish I could have done or maybe done differently. But I try to do it just like that. I think about it and I move on.
Yes, sir.
Because I don't dwell on it. I don't say, "Oh,
That's right.
man, that screwed up my whole life. If I'd have done that, I'd probably be no telling where I'd been right now." I would think I would have probably have been in a worse situation, because I just don't know. I don't know if was mature enough at that point to have gone into that kind of lifestyle and got what done I needed. I think I probably would, because I've always been good in school. So it wasn't like I hated school or that kind of thing. But you get down there and you get in a whole different environment when you got kids 3 and 4 years older than you that's been through there. They know the ins and outs. They know how to use people and all that kind of stuff. Who knows what you got caught up in, So yeah, I mean, yeah, if somebody said, would you go back and change that? Yeah, I probably would have said, let me go to school for at least a semester full time, just to have that experience. I always wanted that experience, but it didn't happen that way. Things worked out okay for me. So no, you would never hear me say, if I could go back, I wouldn't change a thing. Yeah, there's probably a number of things that I would change if I could go back.
Right.
So you would never hear me say that.
Yeah. That's me too. And I'm like, please give me a break. Hell yeah, there's some things that I would change, but lucky for me and thank God it wasn't nothing major. It's just some things that, because one of my regrets is I wish I hadn't have let this non-coaching as college coach that I had make me quit.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't even really say he made me quit. That's the choice I made. It's not going back. And I wish I'd have stuck it out just to see where it would have went. If it didn't go nowhere, I still could have made the decisions that I made, and but that's one of the biggest ones that I have. He wasn't about la-di-da. We had an assistant coach that was a good coach, and when this boy went down sick and all that, he brought the best out of me in there. So I knew I could play at that level, but as soon as he come back, he put his little chosen white boy back in there. And like I said, one thing it did though, one thing the Lord showed me in that, when he did that, he kind of broke me, my confidence. I never had a lack of confidence in playing ball, but he broke it. I'm like, I cannot believe he had me taking second thoughts about the shooting shot.
Mm-hmm.
And, once I put pen to paper and sat down, I was like, that shit ain't gonna never happen again. Think he gonna break my will. Oh no, that ain't happening. But it served me well in the rest of my life, because that's the approach that I had. Like I said a few times there, baby, we finna go home. But hey, the Lord bless me, and hey, I ain't got no regrets about none of it.
Yeah, and that's the place you want to end up in the end.
Yes, sir.
Knowing that what you did at the time was in your heart and in your mind a thing to do or say or whatever it may have been.
Yep.
That's the place you want to end up. I think the worst situation is get to a point in your life where you look back and say, "Oh man, I should have said this or I should have done that."
Oh yeah, been there.
That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But even though you're going to have some of that. I mean, there's going to always be times that you think about, maybe shouldn't have done this or should have done that kind of thing. But all in all, I think if you at some point in your life, if you look back and say, yeah, wasn't perfect by no means, but it could have been far, far worse. And I think I did okay. So I think if you get to that point and have that kind of, thought process in your mind, you've done okay. You've done, and I still look at myself as a work in progress. I don't feel like I'm one of those kinds that just sort of, if you will, sit on my laurels and say, okay, I've done it. Life's good. Life's gone. I'm hoping tomorrow's going to be even better. So I just keep on. Keep on keeping on, so I think that's just some of my personality. I ain't going to sit back and say, well, life's over. I've done all I need to do. I'm good. No, if I can do something tomorrow, especially, I know everything about money, but if I can do something tomorrow that makes my financial position even better, I'm going to do it.
Man,
I'm always thinking.
Boy, you can tell we've been friends for a long time, man. I was sitting up the other day, man. I'm thinking like, how can I get some more money in this motherfucker? All right, what can I do? I'm just thinking about what can an old head do anyway? And cause I'm really, this boredom thing is starting to hit me, man. I was like, I got to get up and do something, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, volunteer. Then I'm thinking, volunteer? No, if I do effort, I want some money. I donate to compensate. But I was sitting up here, I was like, well, I don't know. I even got with Rosin. I know. I was like, well, what is something we can do together to volunteer? And she's like, you don't want to do that. I'm like, well, you're right. So, but yeah, man, I still come back down to the Lord has blessed me, so I can't I can't complain about nothing. So
No, no, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I ain't got to worry about, if we're gonna be able to pay all the bills or put food on the table or whatever. I said, I can't complain. I can't complain about anything like that. And like I say, even though it doesn't keep me from, just like you, thinking about, is there some other money out there that I can
yeah, yeah.
I ain't gonna go break my back to do it, but I mean, if there's something else out there that I could do, I guess I look more now at our investments and things like that as, is there anything in that aspect that I can do that maybe I can uh, do differently? And it ain't really a whole lot.
Right.
So I said, okay, no problem. I'm good. I mean, I keep myself busy, with doing all the other little things that I do, and I said, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah.
But I've always got that antenna up. I mean,
Yes, sir.
I've
Look
always
at
got that antenna up.
but I also got that antenna up to let me know because one of my favorite shows used to be American Greed. And I think about all them folks, oh, they robbed me of $500,000. And I'm like, well, your greedy ass shouldn't have been out there with that. You were set for life, for whatever you got left. These are older dudes. But anyway, he's even more money than that. But I'm like, man, how can you fall for these get rich quick schemes and stuff, man? It sounds too good. It probably is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's the way I look at it too. I mean, I think I'm smart enough to know that, just like you say, if it sounds that good, everybody would be doing it.
that's right.
And everybody ain't doing it. And so that tells me right there that, yeah, it may sound good, and you might have, these celebrity endorsers and stuff like that. There's been as many celebrities go broke as been anybody else,
Yeah, buddy.
in the world. So that part of it, it doesn't persuade me. I have to look at something that I think is a pretty sure deal. But yeah, no, 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 I don't. I just, I think, what my biggest, and I wouldn't say a concern, but something at least I think about is is getting into, throes of like dementia or something like that,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
I make bad decisions because I don't really know that I'm doing that. That's probably more my concern than anything else. I think, sound mind Mickey would got a pretty good, defense up for some of those get real quick schemes, or, send me $100 for this or $1,000 for that from somebody I don't even know
Yeah.
or it got anything to do with. Why would they even want to do that kind of thing? I worry about getting in a situation like that where, your mental capacity starts to go away.
Yeah.
And on that one day that is not very good, something should happen and you make a really terrible decision.
Yeah.
That concerns me more than trying to get in some get rich quick scheme. And I think some of that just from the fact that, I mean, I have to look back from the time when I was bouncing checks at the BX, and what I do, I went and started putting in my checkbook $20 less, which is these days in time, people say that ain't nothing. But back then, I put $20 less in my check register than I really had, and built on that. So I mean, I go back to that and say it's been a slow process. That's been 50 years now.
Yeah.
That I don't think those get rich quick things would probably get me. I just hope I don't get into a situation where my mental capacity starts to go away and I do things. So I've seen that with a couple of people
Oh, yeah.
here, older people that got scammed, and and you could tell they were having some issues. And I said, I just hope there's somebody close enough to me to say, no, 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 you don't need to do that. And I'm the kind of person, I don't go out and tell everybody my business. So I mean, other than Marion and the girls, I don't know who else that would be. But other than that, nah, I just, I mean, I don't do that. I mean, yeah, I go out and buy a lottery ticket every now and then, but I don't sort of put that in the same category. I mean, I just, every now and then I'll go do that and say, now, what would I do if I won all that money? But other than that, I don't take really any really big chances with stuff, especially finances.
Oh, yeah. Well, nowadays, though, there's so many people out there trying to hawk you and take your money that it's very easy for a person that's slipping mentally to fall into that trap.
Yeah.
And that's what that's why I tell Rosin all the time. That's why I'm verbal. Let's talk. I talk about what I do, and that's what we need to do. And hopefully that'll sustain. But boy, you can't. In these days and times, man, people are out to get your money. I went out to my cable company, and they got these packages set up so that, hell, if you get rid of one, you're getting rid of something you like.
Yeah.
May not be but one in the whole 50 of them, you know. And so I was just sitting there and talking about that, and but damn, forgot what I was gonna say. But it's just so much out there, man, that to distract you if you got any kind of mental deficiency that you can be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad like there's somebody now. Think about all those people that they take advantage of. You know, when I was talking to them, that's the point I was gonna make. And we were looking at like what I could get rid of. They said, "Well, you can get rid of your landline, right?" And I'm like, "No, I can't." I said, "That's just a creature of habit." Military and half the people I know, if they don't know my cell phone, they know that number.
Right.
So I can't get rid of that. But, you know, it's just like half the calls, no, 3/4 of the calls that I get on my landline phone is solicitors.
Yeah.
People trying to, do you want to sell your house? And do you want to do all this? Did I call you? If I want to sell my house, I'd have called you. You know, that's if I answer, because half the time we just let it go to voicemail.
Right.
And but there's so many people out there that can. Shannon Sharp, you ought to know by now, god dang it. But man, this is a ruthless world out here now.
Yeah.
It's a ruthless world. Used to be, you know, it was kind of like kids and old people were off limits. Now they looking to game them any kind of way they can.
Any way they can. Yeah. Any way they can. I know I got a text. I think it was earlier this week. It was somebody sent me a text, a picture of a dog, and it said something like Anna, he still doesn't like to take a bath and stuff, something like that, you know. So I just texted him back and said, I think you have the wrong number. So she texts me back and said, oh, I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, I misposed one number or something like that. Of course, we got our old Maryland number. And she said, where's 301 at? You know, and I'm right at this point, I'm starting to get, you know, a little suspicious. But I said, oh, it's in Maryland. Then she said, well, how long have you lived in Maryland? I never answered it back from there. Because I mean, I think that's exactly what it was. It was a spoofing scheme to see how far I was going to go.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
Because, you know, all she had to do obviously was say, I'm sorry. I did have the wrong number. But yeah, what she said, well, where's 301 at? And how long have you lived there? I said, nah, that's enough of that, you know. So yeah, I mean, I don't know that because I didn't go any farther than that second text when she asked
that's
about how
what
long
it was.
I'm pretty certain that's what that was. She was trying to get in with this, you know, I sent it to the wrong person, and there's a picture of a dog that, kind of thing, and I'm so sorry I didn't do that. And then you go start asking me, no, I think exactly that's where it was going. But I just stopped. I said, I'm not even gonna. You don't need to know how long I lived in Maryland. That ain't, they got nothing to do with the conversation. You sent supposedly this text with the wrong phone number. What has it got to do with how long I've been living in Maryland? So I didn't even answer back after that. But yeah, I think that's probably what that was too.
Oh yeah, I got one the other day, brother on the line. All it was it was a different version of the mail that they used to send out. He was from, hey, I'm such and such and such. I'm from the VA department of blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, here we go. I said, so, oh, is this Rodney Turner? I said, well, who's asking? And he told me his name and all this kind of stuff. Well, I'm from the VA, blah, 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 blah. I said, so are you working for the VA or are you at your financial institution that has a VA department? Because he started asking me about my mortgage and all of this and all that. And then he goes, well, your mortgage percentage and all that. I said, well, if you're from the VA, you know I don't have no mortgage. He's like, well, I said, so who do you work for? He started saying some banking institution. I said, so you work for the VA department of your banking institution. You're not the VA. You're representing yourself as the VA. That's how you get the conversation started. I said, no, I ain't got no conversation for you. I hung up the phone. But that's just like the ones we used to get in the mail. They claim, they make it look like it's from the VA, but it's a banking institution.
Yeah, because it's a VA is one of those institutions that, other than maybe a medical appointment, the VA will almost never call you.
Yeah.
It's one of those institutions that you almost always have to call them to initiate any kind of action, whether it's home mortgage, whatever. Like I said, I'll get calls, primarily text messages from the VA hospital here because they changed my appointment, or can I come in at a different time? Those are always real legitimate. Plus, it comes in at that local number. I know what that number is, that kind of thing. But in almost any other case, the VA is not going to call you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but people try to
asking for information at that.
Yeah, because like you say, if I indeed had for instance, a VA loan, if you're the VA, you know all about that. You know how much it is, what the interest rate you need. Why do you need me to tell you that? You should already know that if you indeed are the VA. But yeah, I used to get that kind of mail too. It looks all official. Some of it would even come in like a brown envelope with a VA, showing through the little envelope. I mean, the little window part of it and all that. And I used to always say, okay. I said, this ain't the VA. I'd open it up. Yeah, it would be some bank or something, somebody like that trying to sell you something. But yeah, I used to get those. I used to get those kind of phone calls all the time. I used to get the same text message. I don't know how they got my cell phone number from just random agents. Are you looking to sell your property? No, I'm not looking. If I was doing that, I wouldn't be probably talking to you anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, I usually get that, get that same kind of thing. Are you willing to sell your property? Get all kinds of things from, and I know with real estate agents, especially some of the new ones starting out, they do that cold calling and cold mailing kind of stuff where they just get a list of addresses. They send a letter out hoping they can get a hit on one or two, but they'll send me a letter, looks like your house is worth X, 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 X. I can get you top dollar for this kind of thing. I ain't looking to sell my house, but I know that's what they're doing. They're trying to get at least one hit out of all those, how many letters they sent out to people in the neighborhood. So
it's I get thing with the insurance coverage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
same thing. But it is the last one that I had from do I want to sell my house? Oh, they really they had this little old sexy talking woman on there. I bet she's about 600 pounds on the other side of the phone. Well, sir, we were just curious if you, and I said, my house is not for sale. He said, well, you wouldn't even entertain the thought of, entertain a quote? I'm like, no, I told you it wasn't for sale, right? I just hung up the phone, man. I'm like, boy, y'all are something. Okay, y'all got a job to do, but y'all, as far as I'm concerned, they're loan sharks, man.
Yeah, there's always somebody out there trying to run a scam. I don't know why in the world today, anything good, somebody will find something bad to do with it. Well, we hope you enjoyed this edition. Join us next time for Old Fools Talking Old School. Until then, this is Mickey G. Hey.